Hi everyone, this is Julianne Victoria of Through the Peacock's Eyes. Welcome to my channel. So earlier today I recorded the weekly for this week of August 19th, 2019, and it was very much about stepping up to self-responsibility. And that reminded me of something I've wanted to talk about a little bit, hopefully this won't be too long, concerning astrology. So I am an astrologer, as most of you probably know, and I do practice Western and Vedic astrology. But something I often come across, and actually with fellow other astrologers, some of them, um, is the attitude of blaming the astrology for what happens in our lives. Now, if you follow my channel, you've probably heard me say nothing is totally set in stone. There are lessons we're here to experience. There are sort of like parameters of types of experiences that you're likely to have when you look at someone's astrology. But the details, a lot of the details come down to us, our free will. And our free will can be seen as the choices we make. It can also be the attitudes we have, the perspectives we look at things with, whether it's one or many, or we choose to be blind. So we have a lot of free will in how things turn out, and sometimes that can alter what happens in our lives. So yes, you can look at astrology and say, oh, this is a good time where, you might meet the person you marry. It's not guaranteed, but there's like higher chances and lower chances of things happening. So you can look at an astrology chart as a predictor of chance. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. A predictor of chance. And I guess this bothers me when I hear especially other astrologers say this, or friends, occasionally clients, but it's actually not so much clients. But when I hear other people say, oh, Saturn's doing this to me, my life's going to be miserable for a while. That's sort of making the decision to just let things play out miserably. It's sort of giving away your power, giving away your free will, taking on the attitude of the purely negative side of Saturn in this example, which is, Saturn slows things down, obstacles come up, challenges appear, and it really is perspective and attitude, whether that is seen purely as negative or as opportunistic, like, oh, I have this challenge. Okay, it's going to slow me down. I'm not going to get this done as quickly as I want, but there's probably a lot I can learn in the process. That's how you shift your attitude. That's how you shift your perspective. So I guess what I'm saying is this, is try not to blame the astrology. Now, with Mercury retrogrades, for me personally, they're often usually really good times, but occasionally there's like silly little technical glitches, and I'll jokingly say, oh, Mercury retrograde. But this is another situation where people just blame the astrology. Like, oh, Mercury's retrograde. I got stuck in traffic. Oh, Mercury retrograde, this happened. And yes, technological communication glitches are more likely to happen. The chance is greater then. And, for example, if Mercury is strong in your chart, like he's your ascendant ruler, your moon ruler, your sun ruler, or he has a lot of planets in his signs, which are Virgo and Gemini, yeah, you probably will experience more of that. But don't blame the astrology. The energies are subtle. The energies of planets, the stars or the constellations, the signs that they're in, the moon, the sun, their energies are still subtle. And it's a complex interplay of those subtle energies that we might feel and experience in our life and sort of bend the chance of certain things in our lives. But don't forget you. Don't forget you are ultimately responsible for your life. And you can, even if something happens and you can't physically do something, you can work to shifting your perspective. You can work towards changing your attitude. You can work towards addressing whatever is going on within you that is triggered by that circumstance. But if you just say, oh, everything's crappy now because I'm going through my Sadasati, which is a Saturn transit on your moon in Vedic astrology, and you're just like, it's all going to suck, nothing's going to happen, you sort of give up, or, you don't keep trying. Sure, you can blame the astrology, but you chose to allow that to happen. So instead of blaming the astrology, I suggest learning to play with it, learning to work with it. Whether you're listening to, a general horoscope on YouTube, or you're reading a horoscope somewhere, you have an astrologer you work with regularly, or, you get a yearly thing, play with it. Everything in astrology, so the stars, the planets, the heavens, is part of our physical realm of duality. And in this realm of duality, everything has both a positive and negative side, or you can say an orderly and a chaotic side. And it's seeing those sides, seeing how things can play out, how certain transits can play out, how certain things in your natal chart can play out, seeing the opportunities of either end allows you to play and work with the astrology and work with the shifting or the bending of chance. So, for example, let's talk about a Jupiter transit. Jupiter, he's benevolent. He's, we get the word jovial from Jove, which is another name of Jupiter. He's considered good luck, auspicious, brings growth and expansion. But he has a negative side too. Like, oh, that's all great stuff. Usually we want that, but sometimes we don't want growth in something. Or, a Jupiter transit on the ascendant could expand your waistline, so make you gain weight. Jupiter can also bring in excess, too much of something. So there's the two sides. And we choose to work with one or the other. Ideally, we actually work with a little bit of each to find that balance between order and chaos, between things being smooth and easy and having some challenges for growth. So play with the astrology. Whatever you pick out from horoscopes you listen to, again, if you listen to them on YouTube and you listen to a few every month, I've mentioned this in some other video, find the common denominator. What does that mean to you? How can that play out? How can you work with that energy? So for example, let's use Jupiter again. Let's say Jupiter is transiting your fourth house of home and family. We'll isolate it to just home, where you live. Jupiter transiting your fourth house, and a Jupiter transit will be about a year, 12, 13 months. A great time to expand your home. So that could be remodeling, that could be moving to a bigger home, that could be just clearing out clutter and creating more space in the home you live in. But keep in mind, Jupiter can expand too much and be excessive. So you want it to way to work with it is to keep it in check. Don't get in over your head in your remodel. Don't get in over your head in taking on a rent or a mortgage that you really can't manage, that you can barely manage, and then be in financial struggle afterwards. So work with both sides of everything. Play with the astrology. Even something like a Mercury retrograde. Those little glitches happen, laugh it off. Mercury's the trickster. Usually Mercury retrograde, little glitches, you laugh at later on. Work with it. And especially something like a Saturn transit. Like when Saturn slows things down, stop. Maybe you're supposed to stop and learn something first. Maybe there's something else that's better that the Saturn energy is saying, no, not this way, that way. Or not today, 2 months from now. So play with the astrology rather than blaming it and sort of giving your power away, giving your free will away and just saying, oh, this is horrible. Or what I often see over the years is, let's say something good like a Jupiter and Venus transit, let's say with romance. And people say, oh, nothing happened. And they sort of blame the astrology in a backwards sort of way. play with it. If you have Venus transiting your 5th house of romance and you're hoping to meet someone, 5th house isn't necessarily the one or a partner, but it's a romance. I call it a dating house. Okay, well, do some online dating, meet some people, go out and do something, take some action. You can't, rarely, probably happens a little bit, but rarely can you just sit back and just let it happen. You have to be an active participant. You have to be active in playing with the energies that are going on. And astrology just gives you some idea of where there's more focus, where there is less focus, where there are more challenges, and where things are, you got a little boost going on. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to say here. Just looking at my little notes here. Yeah. I also wrote about absolutes. And this is something I see more with Vedic astrology. How there can be very strong absolutes. Like you have this such and such and you'll never be this, or this is going to be this. It's a realm of possibilities. And don't let, reading a horoscope or listening to a video, or maybe you got an astrology reading and someone said you're never going to have a happy home life. Don't let them predict your life for you. Not predicting because they're reading the astrology, but the astrologer implanting that in your head. It may be more challenging to have a happy home life. It may be your happy home life isn't what you think it's going to be. And if you shift that perspective, then you have it. But see astrology, especially in the natal chart, what you have going on provides you a realm of possibilities. And I would say play within that realm of possibilities. There's not like a one single absolute. I've not seen that. As long as the person was an active participant of expressing their free will, usually in various ways, in their lives. So I'll give you an example. Like in my natal chart in Vedic astrology, I have K2, also known as the South Node, in my 7th house of relationships. I've read in various books, I've seen in videos, I've been told by astrologers that K2 in the 7th house means I will never have a happy relationship, or that you'll never have a relationship, ever. But that's not been the case in my life. Not at all. I've had challenges in relationships, K2 there. I've had past life karma that I needed to clean up with relationships. But if I had listened to them and focused on the bad relationships I've had in my life, and I said, I'm just never going to have a happy relationship, I would likely have pushed away happy relationships. So don't get caught up on absolutes you might read or you might hear or you might be told. You still have free will. There is still realms of possibilities for you to play with, to shift chance, to bend chance, to better your life, for you to grow. So use astrology as seeing what opportunities are there, or seeing what more opportunities are there. Okay. All right. So that is my little, I think it's kind of a rant on don't blame the astrology. I hope you found this interesting. Share this with someone if you know someone who just reads their horoscope and submits to whatever it says in the magazine or whatever, to help them take more responsibility, step into responsibility. I'll link that weekly video here on either side. It'll be up in a few seconds. Yeah, so thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing, and I'll see you back here soon.